Their chief, known to the troops as Old Nosy, was cheered wherever he went.
Please don't make fun of people just because they have long noses. Nothing fun about that. Hello, guys.
Hi, everyone.
I am Valdemar.
And I'm Veronica.
And we are back with Napoleon. This time it's Battle of Vitoria, 1813. And unfortunately, we got spoiled in our previous episode, which was the road to Leipzig. Yeah, it's in Lipsk in Polish. And we got spoiled that this battle resulted in the loss for French. It's taking place in Spain. So it's the other campaign. Napoleon will not be in this episode, I guess. Maybe he will be mentioned, but at this point in time, he is in Germany. Right?
Yes. And don't get me wrong, I am excited to watch it, but we're kind of on a cliffhanger with Leipzig.
Yeah, because
we're like, oh, but Gunther, it's like
everything is hanging on a thread.
Yeah, it's like when you get okay, I'm gonna make an anime comparison, but like when you get the filler episodes, and the filler episodes are still really, really good quality, but at the same time, they're still filler episodes.
Yeah.
So excited for this one, excited for it to be over as well.
Yes, exactly. like yeah, it's nice. We will gladly watch it, but yeah, let's move on. Yeah. Because the next episode in this series is going to be the Battle of Leipzig. And it's almost the end of our journey with Napoleon, because then after that, it's Battle for France and Waterloo, and that's the end.
Yes,
after
so
that,
guys,
there is Napoleon's Marshals, but the story of Napoleon will end in the next 3 episodes.
Yes.
So a big journey on this channel. We've been watching this for months already. Many of you came for this channel because of this series. Many of you became our members because of this series. On our membership, we are watching from Epic History the World War I. This series is also coming to an end very soon.
And we are now very much have to decide quickly what we are watching next, whether from Epic History or Epic History and some other channel. So please right now, pause this video. Not right now, because it will not know what I'm going to ask you to do, but after I ask you to do it. Pause this video, go to the comment section, and please, everyone, comment what you want us to see next, and have a look and see what comments of other people are liked. And if you like that idea, like it, so we can see at the top what you guys really want us to see next.
It's not about whose comment will win.
Yes, no, it's
just about the idea.
It's going to be the win for all of us if we know what we're going to watch next. We're going to try out some videos from different channels very soon, so you'll see them as well. But we just want to hear from you. What are we watching next? Here and on our membership.
But now, still Napoleon.
Yeah, still Napoleon.
Battle of Vitoria. Let's go.
French armies were scattered all over
May
Spain.
1813. While Napoleon's Grande Armée began its fight back in Central Europe following the disastrous invasion of Russia, 1,200 miles away, at the other end of Napoleon's embattled empire, another enemy was poised to strike. The previous year, Wellington's Anglo-Portuguese army had won a brilliant victory at Salamanca, but been held at Burgos and forced into a long, demoralizing retreat back to the Portuguese frontier. But after a winter of rest, reinforcement and training, Wellington's army was stronger than ever. 100,000 men, many of them battle-hardened veterans.
Yeah, they look
and
impressive.
For the first time, he had sufficient cavalry and artillery, while transport and medical services had also been improved. Morale was sky high. Their chief, known to the troops as Old Nosy, was cheered wherever he went.
Please don't make fun of people just because they have long noses. Nothing fun about that. Also a cool nickname.
Cool nickname, right? You want
I
it?
never saw the British army so healthy or so strong, Wellington informed London.
All right.
In contrast, the French position in Spain was weaker than ever. Napoleon severely underestimated the threat posed by Wellington and had just withdrawn 20,000 French troops for his own use in Germany.
Yeah.
As Commander-in-Chief, King Joseph knew his forces were overstretched. Napoleon allowed him to give up Madrid and move his capital to the more easily defended Valladolid. But withdrawing further, to a strong position like the Ebro River, was out of the question. That would send the wrong message to neutral Austria and Napoleon's wavering German allies. And so, with serious concerns, Joseph and his chief of staff, Marshal Jourdan, awaited Wellington's offensive. Wellington's plan was for his army to advance in 2 wings, concentrate at Toro, then move against Joseph's forces. In the south, Murray's Anglo-Sicilian Spanish force, based in Alicante, had just repelled an attack by Marshal Suchet at the Battle of Castalla. Murray would now mount a diversionary landing on the Mediterranean coast to coincide with Wellington's advance and prevent Suchet sending reinforcements north. Wellington had also counted on large-scale support from Spanish regular forces, of which he was, since November 1812, theoretically commander-in-chief.
Yeah, remember?
But the Spanish Cortes, based in Cadiz, was deeply divided, with many still highly suspicious of British motives. The result was that Wellington would only receive direct support from a few reliable Spanish divisions.
Right.
Fortunately, he would receive considerable Spanish support from the guerrillas, now better armed, organized, and operating in greater numbers than ever before. A large area of Valencia.
I guess in Spain it has to be a great source of historical pride. I guess I don't know about this part of the history. I mean, I'm learning about it right now, but I guess in Spain it is being taught in schools because it's like, this kind of story that you love as a member of the nation,
I think so.
You are fighting against the stronger enemy, who came onto your land.
And the people themselves are
yes,
fighting.
And it wasn't the army, you were subjugated, but the people themselves were, were harassing the enemy so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in Spain, I don't know, like they said, I don't know what's the motives of the British. Is it only, to fight against Napoleon? And then they want to use the position that they have in Spain? I don't know. I don't know if we will learn about it.
We shall
but
see.
If you know, you can let us know.
You can let us know already.
Yeah, when you are watching this, you can write a comment.
Had effectively been liberated by El Fraile, the Friar. Esposimina had captured major towns in Navarre and was currently keeping General Clausel's Army of the North busy, while Juan Martín Díaz, aka El Empecinado, was tying down large numbers of French troops near Madrid.
Never having to retreat again.
On the 22nd of May, Wellington bid farewell to Portugal and began his advance. 4 days later, he was in Salamanca, from where he joined the northern wing of his army under Sir Thomas Graham. Joseph and Jourdan expected Wellington's main thrust to come from Salamanca, so planned to defend the line of the Douro River. But Graham's rapid advance north of the river meant they'd already been outflanked, and they ordered a retreat. By a series of brilliant marches, Wellington continued threatening the French right flank, forcing Joseph to keep falling back. Wellington's army
and
was
they had to cross the river that Napoleon told them not to cross.
Yeah.
He said that you won't defend on the Ebro River, you have to defend in front of it.
I got a bit distracted because there was a town called Santander and I was trying to make a joke, but I didn't come with a joke.
Used small roads and mountain tracks north of the main highway, which the French had dismissed as impassable. But thanks to his Spanish allies, Wellington knew better.
Did he?
Hunter.
Backed by British sea power, he was also now able to switch his supply base from Lisbon to Santander, drastically reducing the length of his supply lines, another feat the French had written off as impossible. At the Ebro River, the French found themselves outflanked yet again, and fell back to Vitoria. Here, Joseph decided that he must make his stand. The Zadorra River valley west of Vitoria seemed to offer a strong defensive position. Expecting an attack from the west, French forces were drawn up in 3 lines. General Gazon's army of the south formed the first line. Then General d'Erlon's army of the centre. Then General Rey's army of Portugal. Joseph hoped that he could at least buy time for the vast wagon convoy assembled east of the city to get away. It contained not only military supplies, but his government's treasury. And, as satirized by this contemporary British cartoon, the accumulated loot of 5 years' French occupation of Spain, including priceless works of art, jewels and antiques. He also expected General Clausel to arrive with 20,000 reinforcements any day. However, thanks to the guerrillas, Wellington was better informed of Clausel's whereabouts than Joseph himself. Knowing that Clausel couldn't reach Joseph before the 22nd of June, he decided to attack on the 21st. The day before, French patrols reported enemy troop movement to the north, so Rey's troops were moved to cover any threat to the army's line of communications. Apart from 1 division, which left to escort part of the wagon convoy to France. An odd decision that deprived the army of 4,000 men on the eve of battle.
I think Napoleon there.
This Joseph sounds like a guy, that was put in the position just because he is the family of Napoleon.
Quite possibly,
and then he was, more inclined to care about the money, the wealth. That's why the Spain revolted. Like, if they were treated, fairly and justly, like Napoleon wanted to, then I guess he wouldn't have to fight against the whole country. Yeah. But if you were robbing them
then what do you expect?
for years, and then you only thing you care about is getting the loot.
Yeah,
it's like you are more like pirates, more like bandits than army.
Yeah, then what do you expect? And also, but it's interesting because before we were talking that all these people that Napoleon is choosing from his family, they end up being such great leaders, and like, is there something in the blood or is it the nurture or what? But now, well, I guess we have the exception.
Ridden with fever that day. The next morning, he reconnoitred the army's position with King Joseph. They agreed that their position was overextended and should be shortened. But by the time their orders reached General Gazon, it was too late. He was already under attack.
I think Napoleon wouldn't lose this battle. Too many the small mistakes.
Yeah. But they were really at a disadvantage.
Wellington, enjoying the advantage in numbers for once, had decided to attack in 4 columns across a 10-mile front, with General Graham's left-hand column threatening Joseph's line of retreat. It was a bold plan, with the potential to trap and destroy Joseph's army, but required careful coordination and precise timing. Fortunately, the French had not thought it necessary to destroy any of the bridges over the Zadorra River, which was also fordable in several places.
Why?
At 8 a.m., General Hill's column began its attack on the Allied right. Spanish and British troops advanced up the western heights of Puebla, driving off French skirmishers and forcing General Gazon to send reinforcements to secure his left flank. Hill's troops then seized the village of Subiana, but French cannon fire and counterattacks prevented any further advance. Convinced that Hill's attack was the main assault, and that troop movements to the north were probably a diversion, Jourdan continued to send troops from the centre to reinforce the left. This was exactly what Wellington wanted. But at 11 a.m, he was waiting with growing impatience for his other columns to go into action. Lord Dalhousie's 7th Division, supposed to be leading the attack by the centre-left column, had got held up in the mountains. While further east, Graham's flanking move had got off to a cautious start. But seeing the size of the approaching force, General Rey decided to pull back his troops across the Zadorra River. This encouraged Graham to get things moving. Colonel Longa's Spanish division advanced on Durana, held by Spanish troops loyal to King Joseph, and and a bitter struggle for the village ensued. British and Portuguese infantry advanced against Camara Mayor.
It's very sad always when they mention that, and they mentioned that in the previous video of Napoleon when you had like the Germans, the ones they were part of them were loyal to Napoleon,
Yes.
part of them were loyal to the king of Prussia, and you have people from the same nation, speaking the same language, forced to fight against each other.
Yeah.
And like in Poland, it was similar at the same time with the partition of Poland. You had Polish soldiers, fighting for
Opposing
Prussia,
sides.
for Russia, and for Austria.
Yeah, horrible
But
situation.
At this time, they were all allies, but like in the First World War, it was a different matter entirely.
Yeah.
And similar here in Spain, and it's different thing, fighting against someone who is from a different country, and different thing to fight against someone who is, your
Yeah, and not like a civil war, but just that neither of those are really your causes.
yeah.
It's just
You're being forced to do
Yeah.
that.
They were soon engaged in bloody street fighting with the French. This scene shows an attack by the 4th King's Own Regiment of Foot and the 47th Lancashire Regiment. Though they succeeded in driving the French out of the village, they could not cross its bridge over the Zadorra, which was expertly covered by French guns. Around noon, a Spanish peasant informed Wellington that the bridge at Tres Puentes was completely unguarded. He immediately ordered Kempt's elite light infantry brigade to dash across it and secure a bridgehead.
I would have done it better.
But there was still little sign of
I feel like, like a father watching a soccer match or something. Like, what are you doing? Because I've listened to Napoleon for so long, I feel like I now know everything about warfare. And like, what are you doing? You need to burn the bridge. Everyone knows you need to burn the bridge.
Dalhousie's 7th Division. General Picton, the notoriously short-tempered commander of the fighting 3rd Division, ran out of patience. Fed up with waiting for Dalhousie, he ordered his men to advance. They charged across the Mendoza Bridge and a nearby ford, driving back light French defences. General Gazan, with his left flank pinned down at Subiana, was now about to be outflanked on his right, and had no option but to pull back his troops. Wellington's army was now crossing the Zadorra River in force.
Yeah.
Heavy fighting
They
continued
are
to
screwed.
rage on the heights of Puebla, but here the French also had to give ground to maintain the cohesion of their new line. Scottish Highlanders and Connaught Rangers, supported by riflemen and Portuguese troops, now stormed the village of Arigneth, routing the defenders, who retreated southeast, and a gap began to emerge in the French centre between Gazan's army of the south and D'Erlon's army of the centre. The Allied advance continued, with heavy pressure on both French flanks. Wellington's army appeared to be building unstoppable momentum, with Graham's column poised to cut off Joseph's escape. By 4 p.m, Wellington's army was formed up across the Zadorra, ready to strike a decisive blow. But his infantry came under heavy fire from 76 French guns, blasting great holes in their ranks. Allied guns were brought forward to provide support. The biggest artillery duel of the Peninsular War began. More than 70 guns on each side. Allied skirmishers, exploiting the gap in the French centre near Gomecha, were able to work their way behind the French guns,
Whoa.
shoot down their crews.
Ooh.
What?
Gazan
That
found
never happened
himself
before.
threatened on both flanks. But instead of trying to close up with D'Erlon to his north, on his own initiative he ordered a retreat that left D'Erlon's own left flank completely exposed.
Oh, and they will be able to encircle Joseph, I think.
So it looks like, because they are already at the top, right? Because he backed off.
Yeah. Also, he has a river on top of him, so it's not that easy to escape when you have the river to cross.
Around the same time, Longa's Spanish troops finally captured Durana, and rumours swept the French army that their escape route had been cut. D'Erlon's army of the centre fought on bravely, withdrawing to another new defensive line just 1 mile west of Vitoria. French guns kept up a steady fire on the advancing Allied lines, but once more the position was outflanked. Around 5:30 p.m, King Joseph bowed to the inevitable and ordered a general retreat.
Wow.
As the main road to...
Wait. $5 million of their money?
I think of equipment, yes.
You remember when in the previous episode they mentioned how much money it was sent by the British?
Yeah, and I think it was only like 2 million, and that...
Oh, it was more than 2 million.
10 million?
I don't remember. I don't.
But
want
I
to
remember
guess.
just that it was a really
But
a lot.
it's much bigger number now than 5 million. Can you imagine finding that, like, after all this struggle, you finally defeated an enemy, and then you find like a gold pot, at the end of the rainbow.
It's really a reward that you get.
Yeah, like
here's
you're
your
ending
payment.
a quest in the game.
Yes, exactly. Like you're ending the quest.
France had now been cut by Longa's Spanish troops. The army would have to retreat east towards Pamplona along a single narrow road with boggy fields on either side. Bad enough for thousands of troops and guns, but there had been no attempt to move off the army's enormous convoy of wagons earlier in the day. The result was pandemonium, as military units and artillery tried to force their way through the streets of Vitoria and the congested lanes and fields beyond. The task of forming a rearguard fell to General Reyes' Army of Portugal, which conducted an organised withdrawal covered by its cavalry. Wellington hoped that Graham's column would now be surging across the Zadorra River to cut off the French army's retreat. But Graham, overestimating the enemy's strength, continued to take a cautious approach. East of Vitoria, the French retreat descended into total chaos. The single narrow road became blocked. Wagons that took to the fields got stuck and were abandoned. Allied cavalry fell upon this confused mass, spreading panic and meeting little serious opposition. King Joseph and
worse.
Marshal Jourdan themselves narrowly escaped capture. Among the abandoned wagons, many civilians, including officers, wives and children, priceless paintings, jewels and furniture, and more than 5 million gold francs. Troops
So
on
it's just the
both
money,
sides
5
broke
million.
ranks and dived into an orgy of plundering. One
Oh,
British
God.
officer described the scene. About dusk, the head of our column came suddenly on some wagons which had been abandoned by the enemy. Someone called out, "They are money carts!" No sooner were the words uttered than the division broke as if by word of command, and in an instant the covers disappeared from the wagons and nothing was seen but a mass of inverted legs, while the arms were groping for dollars. For money it certainly was. The scene was disgraceful, but at the same time, ludicrous. Wellington, however, was furious. Not only did the plundering delay pursuit of the enemy, but giant
What would
sums
you
of
do?
cash, which might have paid for his army's supplies, vanished into private pockets instead.
Well,
Of 5.5 million francs, only 250,000 were ever recovered by the army. Vitoria was a great...
I wonder how they were trying to, to recover the money.
yeah.
Because the soldiers had to hide it somewhere. And I
I
guess
don't
not
think they
in
were
their pants.
searching. Yeah,
Of course they were searching
think they
for
were
the money.
searching them?
For 5 million francs?
I don't know. How
There
do you
were- there
search?
were- there
yeah,
were-
but how do you search so many people?
One by one? It's an army.
I guess.
It's not like you have a problem with like...
I guess. But then the person searching would also have to be willing to give the money back.
Yeah, that's the part of it. That's why I
Yeah.
guess that's why they didn't recover the money.
Yeah, and you would say, "Oh, sorry, I only found $5."
Yeah, but I guess that's exactly what happened. Like if you want to keep this amount of money, you need to share it.
Yeah.
Like you need to kick a little bit up.
Yeah.
So the person who was searching you can say that
yeah,
we couldn't find anything. And if they were smart, they probably were like hiding it somewhere else. Not in the camp, but like in some like in the ground or under the tree, so they can recover it later.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like something big.
Great victory for the coalition. Not as crushing as it might have been, reflected in relatively light French casualties. But in the chaotic retreat that followed, the Allies did capture all but 2 of 153 French guns, and even Jourdan's Marshal's bateau.
That is a bit embarrassing.
French military power in Iberia was broken. The Bonapartist Kingdom of Spain was at an end. Joseph returned to France to face his brother's criticism. Marshal Jourdan retired from active service. Napoleon sent Marshal Soult to replace them, but even his shrewd military mind could not turn the tide in Spain.
Yeah.
Too late for that.
Counterattacks to relieve the French garrisons at Pamplona and San Sebastian were defeated. That autumn, Wellington began what proved an unstoppable advance across the Pyrenees and into France. In southern Spain, where Marshal Suchet remained undefeated, the disaster at Vitoria forced him also to withdraw towards the frontier, leaving behind just a few isolated garrisons.
You did everything well.
After a bitter 5-year struggle, the Allies had brought the Peninsular War, to the Spanish their War of Independence, to a victorious conclusion.
Amazing.
It had been a long, hard road, steeped in blood and suffering. The alliance between Britain and Spain had been particularly treacherous to navigate.
Yeah.
But ultimately, both nations had fought together with Portugal to drive the French back across the Pyrenees. New research provides a clearer insight than ever into the huge attrition of French manpower in Iberia.
Yeah.
An estimated total of 260,000 lives lost. 3/4 died of sickness. Of approximately 66,000 deaths from combat, 43% were in actions against Spanish regular forces, 38% fighting British-led armies, and 19% fighting guerrillas. By contrast, British military deaths are estimated at 52,000, Portuguese 15,000, with many more thousands of civilian deaths, while Spanish deaths are unknown, though the country as a whole may have lost as many as 500,000 lives
Jesus.
in 5 years of war and occupation. For Napoleon, this disaster had been an unnecessary and large...
But that's the terrifying thing about the war, that somehow someone in the comments mentioned that too, that it's small percentage that actually dies in the combat. Mm-hmm. It's mostly, diseases, starvation, the environment and stuff like that. 75% of people died outside of combat.
Yeah.
In the French army.
Yeah, it's just horrible.
So you are a soldier, you think you will have like a
hero death.
Yeah, but death in a battle, and then you go to Valhalla. But unfortunately, nope, because you will die on dysentery or something else.
Yeah, like grueling death.
Shitting yourself until you die. And I'm really curious if why that was the case. Like, I understand in Russia, because they went to this harsh climate of Russia, and then they were forced to run. So yeah, of course. But I wonder what was the reason when they were in Spain, because it was kind of the home turf for French for some time, because, they were already established. It was their kingdom. So the France is not that long ago, not that far away. So you can have supply lines you shouldn't
Yeah.
have problems with starvation and
And
others.
it's also not like the microclimate is that different.
So
that
I
you should
wonder
have,
if this is like the wrong philosophy of how you take care of your troops. You know, like to avoid plagues. You know, like sickness.
I think so. I think maybe the close quarters, then maybe the water that they drink is not that clean. Maybe the hygiene is not.
Yeah, but it's already 19th century, so they know something.
Oh.
So I wonder, if there was something that could have been done at this point in time that would like save thousands.
Yeah, and I feel like
of,
it could be drastically different.
Yeah,
Because nowadays soldiers don't.
And as an army, if you have a solution for that, if every other army is losing, 50, 60, 70% of its forces. No, I mean not the total forces, but the 50, 60, 70% of total death is because of environmental issues
Sickness.
and sickness and stuff like that. Then if you have a solution for that, if you have a cure for that, then you can be like a strongest army.
You have a massive advantage.
Yeah, I really wonder what was the reason for that.
Yeah.
I will try to
Google it.
Yeah, with the help of the ChatGPT.
Ask ChatGPT.
Self-inflicted wound. Napoleon, this disaster had been an unnecessary and largely self-inflicted wound. An intervention born of arrogance and false assumptions, with dire strategic consequences. But as the Napoleonic Empire crumbled in Spain, an even greater struggle neared its climax in Central Europe, where Napoleon faced the most powerful coalition of his enemies yet. If the French Emperor was victorious in Germany, Wellington might soon be scrambling back across the Pyrenees. The fate of Europe was about to be decided at the Battle of Leipzig.
So excited.
Yes.
It's like this final episode of this TV series that
It
we're
really
watching.
is. Yes, it really is.
Even though it's not final, but
yeah, it's like not the end of the season yet, but it's like, the last season.
yeah, it's like the one episode, because very often now in TV series, the second to last episode is the best.
Yes.
So I think it's this is it. This is the
might
second
be
to last episode.
That might be
The
it.
culmination point.
I cannot wait.
And how long it is? I don't remember.
30 minutes, I think.
31 minutes. Yeah, it's.
I think it
going
might
to
be better
amazing.
than the Waterloo watching experience for now, before the Waterloo is remade.
I
As
wonder,
mentioned.
because maybe you don't know, but the Epic History channel said that they will renew,
Yes.
make a remake of the Waterloo episode,
Yes.
and that's going to be longer, better, and
I'll
so
be
on and
really
so on.
excited about it.
I wonder when it will be released.
This year. I think in March, they said. Someone said in the comments, but I'm just saying from the comments. I didn't see the
How do
actual
they know?
post.
I don't think it was set when
I
it
think
will
someone
be
did.
released. I only saw the post from Epic History that they are working on it.
Okay, I don't know.
I haven't seen.
Maybe there were like comments or something, because I've seen, I don't know, but I've seen someone mentioned.
It will be a big day on our channel
It
when
will be a
it will
big
be
day on
released,
our
because it
channel.
will probably be already after we will finish everything. And yeah, of course,
Then we'll come back to it.
we will watch the
The
Marshals.
Marshals, and we will also watch, and we could watch it right now, but I don't know that we want to delay Leipzig anymore, but we have that video that we haven't watched about the memories of the soldiers from the Peninsular War, which has now come to an end, so we could watch it now, because people ask us not to watch it for spoilers. So I don't know when we're going to watch it, but...
I would like to finish Napoleon now, because I
Yeah.
also know I'm in this point, I don't want to wait.
Yeah, I was thinking...
Things are going so fast right now, I don't want to
No,
get
me neither.
distracted with other things. So I think first let's finish the whole Napoleon campaign, and then let's focus on like the supplementary videos.
Yeah, I was thinking we can watch together with the Marshals in between, or before or
That's
after.
what that's what I think. That's what I think. Guys, thank you for watching. And if you are not our member yet and you want to support our channel, then that's the way to do that. And in return, you will have access to extra videos, including the First World War series of
And
Epic History.
whatever you decide that we should watch next, which you should also let us know.
Yeah, your opinion when you are a member is the most important to us. So if you want to shape this channel, what we will watch, then
Definitely.
yeah, we are discussing stuff, then in the private videos. That's where the
magic happens.
yeah.
And you can also see that you can have a cool penguin next to your comment if you're a
And
member,
it will
which is
evolve
quite nice.
after some
Yes,
time.
I think it has evolved for some people already.
Yeah,
Yeah. It changes forms as the longer you are a member.
like Pokemon.
like a Pokemon.
All right. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Goodbye.